Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Blue Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and the Kansas Jayhawks did exactly what we predicted in the pregame. They absolutely decimate and destroy the Missouri Tigers in Kansas City, Missouri, in the T-Mobile Center in front of a ton of really mixed crowd. And I was absolutely excited to really see a lot of the things we predicted in that pregame come to fruition, which resulted in an 80-60 win for the Kansas Jayhawks. As a great person once said, way to totally redeem yourself. And where I'm going with that is, obviously the Kansas Jayhawks would lose to the UConn Huskies inside Allen Fieldhouse, which really it really sent shockwaves in a way, for me at least, because you should not be losing games like that at home. Granted, you were missing Darren Peterson. It just was really something that you just did not want to happen. The Kansas Jayhawks come into Kansas City, Missouri, and absolutely show why they are the better team, why they are a predominantly historically better team, and they just went out there and played a great all-around basketball game. We're going to jump in. We're going to really talk about what went right for Kansas. We're going to break down the individual pieces for each player. We're also going to talk about what went wrong for the Missouri Tigers because it really started to derail in the second half for them. They came out strong, but they ran out of steam. So the Kansas Jayhawks dismantled the Missouri Tigers at the T-Mobile Center, cruising to an 80 victory over those Tigers. The win served as a sharp reminder that the Kansas Jayhawks have the pedigree, and they announced that they remain a force in this rivaled story. You know, the Jayhawks really have efficiency. They executed and they defined their performance, especially after halftime, like we stated. The Jayhawks would outscore those Missouri Tigers 47-35 in the second half, which would really allow them to pull away. What is absolutely good to see is that really Darren Peterson, I believe, only played about 6 to 7 minutes in that second half. I think he was definitely capped on time, how much he was going to play. And I also think he was still kind of dealing with a little bit of that injury because we saw him on the bench kind of getting some work with the trainer. So they were able to really do a lot of that second half without him. And they played together as that cohesive unit that we've been seeing, as specifically what we saw when they went to Las Vegas. So what really went right for Kansas? Well, the balanced scoring, the offensive efficiency. Kansas shot 46% from the field, a strong clip that underpinned their offensive rhythm and helped sustain pressure on Missouri's defense when it mattered most. The second half dominance, which we talked about, but really the turning point came after halftime when Kansas went on a decisive run that turned a close first half into a double-digit lead, then stretched it out even further. The Tigers just never recovered. And I think really what kind of aided in that was a quick shot from Trey White that really kind of capped off the first half going into halftime. It was a quick ball. I think it was passed from Melvin Council Jr. Trey White put it up with almost like a second, maybe a little under a second, and it was really kind of a dagger, if you would say, because really I don't think Kansas looked back after that. Now the starting five for the Kansas Jayhawks was Darren Peterson, Melvin Council Jr., Trey White, Flory Badunga, and Bryson Tiller. So I really think that those guys are back to kind of being that unit that we expected. And really, they controlled the boards. Kansas out-rebounded Missouri 41-35 overall, limiting second chance opportunities for the Tigers, which really kind of surprised me. I'm not saying that I didn't feel like Kansas was going to win this battle, because they did, obviously, but you know, there was a challenge. There's two bigs that obviously Missouri had that I felt were going to give a challenge for the rebounds, really kind of be a more aggressive down low. But Kansas would come out on top in that category. Tough defense, we expected that. Strong pressure, we expected that. That's something that Kansas really kind of is what they're about. They're really about strong, tough defense. And that's kind of Bill Self in a way. That's just how he coaches, and that's what he recruits for, is to play lockdown defense, force the opponent to really kind of have to play an A game. So by holding Missouri to just 34% shooting and disruption in their rhythm, Kansas forced the Tigers into a sputtering offense, particularly from the three-point range, and we'll talk about that. Kansas would yet again lose the turnover battle, which they gave up 10 turnovers to only 9 for the Tigers. And one of the highlighted stats in the box score was Kansas scored 34 points in the paint to only 28 for the Missouri Tigers, which I think yet again really kind of showed how Bryson Tiller, Flory Badunga, Trey White really kind of elevated their game. And so I think that was a significant thing. Again, we're going to talk about those players specifically and how they managed this game, but I really think that was a big-time highlight, the fact that we were able to win in the paint. Kansas would also win second chance points, another category we mentioned in the pregame, because that's really kind of an area where Missouri has excelled, was those second chance points. So we mentioned that battle was 15-11, so Kansas would win 15-11 in that category. Kansas would go 19 of 26 from the free throw line, which would be a 73.1% mark, to Missouri's only 11 for 21, 52.4%. So a category I always highlight we would come out victorious in. So Trey White, balanced leader, again with strong presence. We talked about that late shot that he made going into halftime. But Trey White led this team with 20 points and 13 rebounds. He really snatched the boards, ladies and gentlemen. He was on top of it. Majority of those rebounds came on the defensive side of the basketball. He earned a double-double and anchoring the Jayhawks' physicality on the glass. And I really think that's something that Kansas needs to continuously improve on, is that physicality. The teams that they're going to continue to play are going to bring the physical aspect of the game, and so Kansas will have to find a way to match that, and they definitely did in this game. He also got to the free throw line often and showed poise under pressure. His rebounding, both offensive and defensive, helped KU control possession and limit Missouri's second chance opportunities, which is, again, a category we really talked about in the pre-video. And on a night when the offense heated up after halftime, White's combination of scoring and rebounding gave Kansas a dependable inside-outside balance. So why it mattered, White's double-double set the tone for KU's physical control, especially on the boards, a foundation for, again, their second-half dominance. Now, Darren Peterson returned, ladies and gentlemen. He returned. And I'm going to be honest with you. His 17 points, to me, felt like a silent 17 points, if that even makes sense. The reason I say that is because majority of all of those points came in the first half. He really kind of set the tone when he opened the scoring with the three-pointer, giving KU an early kind of offensive lift. It was a boost coming after some offensive sluggishness. And I really think some of that was the fact that Darren Peterson hasn't played in a live game. And we've talked about this multiple times, but he hasn't played in a live game, I believe, about 7 games. So I think there was some cohesiveness that had to be kind of figured out, how they were going to really work with Darren back out there on the court. And so I think they were kind of working through that, and they were able to. Although he played limited minutes in the second half, just 6, which we talked about, Peterson's early contributions helped Kansas build a comfortable cushion before he sat out. Why it mattered? Having Peterson scoring and contributing immediately, even in limited minutes, added offensive punch and helped ease pressure on others. And I think that really speaks to what Darren Peterson's game is all about. He draws attention, he draws double teams, which opens other guys. And that's really what kind of started to happen as you see Trey White put up 20 points, as we'll talk about some others. So I think it's a significant thing to have the number 1 basketball player on the court, and even though it was limited minutes, you can see how he can really impact a game. Imagine if he would have played in the second half. If he was fully healthy, there was no issues. Ladies and gentlemen, he had 17 points in the first half. I mean, he could have went off for even more. It's that magical time of the year again. The minute the boxes come out of storage and the first string of lights flickers on, everything just feels brighter. The smell of pine fills the house. The Christmas tree goes up, and suddenly, you're transforming your home into a full-blown holiday wonderland. Maybe you're climbing the ladder to hang lights on the roof, setting up those larger-than-life yard decorations, or turning the living room into the coziest place on earth. But sometimes, the Christmas spirit outgrows the space you're in. Whether you're dreaming of a bigger living room, for the perfect tree, a yard worthy of your holidays display, or simply a home that better fits your seasonal traditions, now might be the ideal time to find your dream home. Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert, passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait. Your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next chapter. So if you're ready to make a move that matches your holiday joy, Lisa Miller is here to help you find that place where your Christmas magic can truly come to life. Bryson Tiller, ladies and gentlemen, I was kind of hard on him. He's really kind of been struggling from the three ball, but he really kind of had that mid-game spark and really a steady piece of production. Tiller contributed 13 points, many coming during the early second half stretch as KU extended their lead. His scoring came at a key moment as the Jayhawks opened things up. Tiller's buckets and offensive rhythm helped turn the tide decisively in KU's favor. Why this mattered? Tiller's timely contributions show Kansas has more than one scoring option, and I think to see him really contribute in the fashion in which he did, that's what you kind of need to see consistently from Bryson Tiller. We're not asking for 20 points a game, but we're asking for a good 10 to 15 if possible, with really contributing on the boards and staying out of foul trouble. Now, Flory Badunga, ladies and gentlemen, the two-way monster, rebounding, toughness, and grit. Badunga chipped in only 10 points, but he was on the boards actively as well with 11. He did record yet again another double-double, and I think that was impressive on really kind of how he came on late in this game. He helped KU control the boards, limit second chance points. He also provided defensive energy. He was involved in hustle plays, loose ball situations, and helped disrupt Missouri's offense of flow. Obviously, that's one thing that we highlighted previously. There was kind of a lack of hustle. There was kind of a lack of going after loose balls. Flory really kind of stepped up in that category, and I was really excited to see that. Badunga's rebounding and intensity added a physical edge, sustaining Kansas's dominance in the fight for loose balls and second chance points. Obviously, there's other contributors in this game. Melvin Council Jr., I believe Jamari McDowell hit some very key three-pointers. There was just an overall well-rounded type of game for this team, and I was super, super happy to see how this turned out. It really kind of builds momentum, and I think, just how they played, it really kind of spoke to them kind of going back, analyzing how they played against UConn, deciding to come out and really just establish themselves in the Missouri Tiger game. Now, why Missouri Tigers struggled, and I think a lot of that really came down to the defense of the Kansas Jayhawks. The Tigers came into the game hoping to keep pace, but several issues derailed them. One of the big things that I want to highlight, and I talked about it in my video, Missouri is just not battle-tested, ladies and gentlemen, and they talked about it in the broadcast. They really talked about how Dennis Gates kind of designs his schedule. He decides that, hey, I'm not going to play a very difficult non-con because of how difficult the SEC is going to present and how some of those teams are constantly going to be rated in the top 25. And so he feels that by playing a weaker non-con, it'll still allow them to kind of get into the tournament when that time comes because they'll have really a decent showing against the SEC is what they expect. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think the biggest thing is Missouri managed just 34% shooting overall, a miserable result that doomed any comeback attempts. Their three-point shooting was equally poor. They made only 7 of 27 attempts from the arc. Despite grabbing 16 offensive rebounds, Missouri converted that effort into just 11 second chance points, highlighting their inability to capitalize on extra possessions, and they also were able to get into foul trouble, which was a big factor for Kansas. Key players including Anthony Robinson, who picked up early fouls that really disrupted their rotation and rhythm, giving Kansas an opening to extend the lead. Kansas Jayhawks, again, showed their dominance, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you want to see, especially against the Missouri team that beat you in Columbia last year. It's time to get back on top, show who really owns this rivalry. Now, Kansas will be heading on the road. They do get, luckily, a week off. That kind of gets these guys healthy, that gets them, specifically Darren Peterson, giving him some time to really get back and kind of heal before he goes on the road. And they go on the road to North Carolina State, where it'll be in Raleigh, excuse me. And obviously, this is going to be a tough road game. Kansas will be challenged. They will be tested in this game as expected and as they have been all year. They really have been tested in a lot of games this year. So they're not playing, down. They're not playing weaker opponents. They consistently are playing top tier opponents. And so I expect Kansas to continuously play to a high level. We really saw a great showing in this game. I'm super pumped with the result. There wasn't a ton of Missouri fans in my comments section this go around. Obviously, there were a lot when we were talking football because I feel like they felt more confident. They felt and obviously had the better team, and so they felt like they could talk more. There just wasn't as much bantering going on in my comment section this time because, well, we know who the better team was, and we knew really that this was probably going to be the end result. Kansas, again, would come out victorious 80-60. Sending those Missouri Tigers back to Columbia. I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys thought of this basketball game. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me on this channel. It has been absolutely incredible. I can't thank y'all enough. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and as always, have a good day.